He's the star of the new hit show, Ballers. Not even new. It's in the second season of Ballers on HBO on Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. He's also the host of the Ozone podcast. Y'all welcome in real quick, man, Omar Miller.
Hey. Let me speak something.
What up, dog?
It may not be new, but it never gets old. That's what I'm here to tell you.
Word up, man. Congratulations on that third season, homeboy. Congratulations on continue to get checks, my man.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of positives going on. Checks, the exposure, the ability to tell stories about a part of society that people are really interested in but don't necessarily have access to.
Now,
a lot happening.
Let's get into that, man, because I mentioned it before you came on, man. This is a show that I could actually see why the NFL would be pissed off about it, man, because you guys talk about, you got into the CTE stuff, and you do it real casually. It's not really abrupt. Like, The Rock had to go get a CT scan one time. Now he's popping pills. Like, you were kind of like depressed a little bit, so you had the depression part. You got the money mismanagement. You got the homie Reggie and the hangers on. There's a bunch of different NFL issues, man, going on now. What I want to ask you about, do you see this show attacking what Michael Bennett was talking about this past weekend about athletes, NFL players in particular, speaking out on social issues? Do you see the show taking that turn?
Well, I can tell you that as it stands, our show is a comedy that's there to suggest about a lot of different things in society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the athletes taking a stand, there's no way for us to predict or avoid any topic, because the interesting thing is, no matter how far our writers go, the true athletes in real life, their truth is always stranger than our fiction. So I think that this is a cool intersection of where art is imitating life, and life in a certain ways imitates art. You can look at it like on Sunday's episode, the defensive lineman hurt his Achilles and then decided that he wanted to disappear. So he went to hide.
Right. That was ridiculous.
Exactly. But then you see on Monday morning, Dodgers star Yasiel Puig got the word that he was getting traded and or demoted, and he didn't take the flight with the team and disappeared. Nobody knew his whereabouts.
Right.
So it's just such an interesting thing how, this thing works.
Now, how'd you, by the way, you guys make sure you follow Omar at Omar Miller on Twitter. And is it Omar Benson Miller on Instagram?
Yeah. That Omar Miller on Twitter and that Omar Benson Miller on Instagram. Somebody already took my name.
I'm streaming live on YouTube right now. So right now, the people, if you're looking at it on YouTube, I got the split screen going up with me on one side and the still picture of you looking all dapper with the sport coat on in front of the Ballers logo. That's how I'm trying to do my thing. You understand?
Got to do it.
As far as you getting involved with the project, man, like, what's up with you having to gain weight? Like, you're how tall are you, first of all? Because, like, I look at stuff on TV, and most of those cats are, like, midgets. So when I see you standing by somebody, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, is this dude, like, 6 foot or is he 6'8"? It's hard to gauge because the other dudes sometimes are so small. So how tall are you?
I am 6'6", maybe 6'5", probably 6'6". I ain't been measured since I was a kid, so I can tell you, though, I'm a big dude. And, when going into the first season, the show's creator, Steve Levinson, asked me to gain weight so as to properly represent a man who's kind of lost and letting himself go. So somebody who's gone from being an athlete into stepping into the wilderness of not knowing what to do, not knowing what he's doing or where he's going or anything like that.
Now, how'd you go about doing that? Because I'm a big dude, too, and, like, I work out. I try to keep it in order, but at this point, my man, it's just straight maintenance. Like, I'm not going to show up tomorrow with no six-pack or none of that. It's just like, I've already told my wife, like, my deal with my wife was like, I got dibs on being the fat one already. You know what I mean? So it's all about maintenance. So with you, like, how'd you go about gaining the weight, first of all? And, like, is it going to be a problem if you ever need to, like, get it back off?
Well, I mean, if you can't see it, it's already off. You went about gaining it by doing all the standard things, eating late, eating heavier meals, lots of starch, a lot of meat and potatoes. Gaining weight isn't, I don't think, anybody's hardest thing to do. But then in the second season, my character goes back to playing. So if you watch seasons 1 and seasons 2, you'll see a difference in my size for sure. And that was a much harder scenario.
I'm just going to keep it real with you, dog. It's too many fine women on that show for me to be, like, checking on you, like, that closely. I'm just going to keep it real.
Well, hey, well, there it is.
Like, you're there, and on some real stuff, you like one of my favorite characters because, like, you're the character I think that's in every show. Like, you have, like, the guy, like the Ricky Jarrett character that you don't really know if you want to root for him or against him. But then you got, like, you know, the character that everybody's rooting for, like, especially when you got the text with the chick, you know, showing her ass and all that. And it's like, my man, don't do it. So I'm checking for you, just not on the physical side of things. I'm speaking right now, Omar Miller.
Hey.
Say what now?
Hey, listen, I get you, brother. There's better things to look at, but I like to think that my material is a bit more compelling.
My man. I'm talking right now with the star of the hit show Ballers on HBO. Y'all check it out on Sunday at 10 Eastern. It just got renewed for a third season, so that's a good look. He's also the host of the Ozone podcast, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter at Omar Miller. I want to know about your story, man. Like, you know, everybody has these crazy stories sometimes about how they cut their teeth getting into the acting business, man, and like the things that they had to go through before they actually hit it big. If you guys don't know, you might have seen Omar in things like 8 Mile and The Sorcerer's Apprentice and things like that nature. But before you got there, what were you doing, man? Like what was going on?
Well, I was in college. That's what was going on, and that's what actually led me to get to this point. Is because I was in school, and I went to school at San Jose State. I went to school to try to play baseball, to be honest. That was my number one passion and love, and stumbled into the theater. I stumbled into the theater chasing a girl, and a professor took me under his wing, and the brother told me he thought I had something special, and he started kind of forming my career and showing me my talent and how to take my natural talent and enhance that and make it more refined so that I could then in turn step to the next and step up in the world. And that's what I was given, man. I was given the opportunity then to audition for stuff. It was a blessing from the Lord because I got back to Los Angeles, being from Los Angeles. I got back to Los Angeles right at the right time when a lot of very interesting projects were casting, and the number one of it was 8 Mile. And I ended up getting in that movie, and the movie became a big fat hit, and it ended up changing my life.
Damn. Like, I'm looking for, like, the whole, like, I slept in the car for 2 months, and I was, like, a waiter. Well, first of all, let's go back. Did you get the girl?
Did not get the girl, thank God.
Well,
if I got the girl, I probably wouldn't have been focused on the career.
And look, her loss. What is she doing now? And she's not on the One Mike with Big Mike show. Oh, she's doing all right? You said she's doing all right?
She's doing all right.
Wait, you said she's doing all right. She's doing better than me? Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, like that just went the total opposite direction that I thought it was gonna go in, man. Before we go on with the sports stuff, man, tell me about your show, man. I checked it out, and I was telling the people before you called in, man, you're doing my show, man. Like this whole concept of talking about the things that nobody wants to talk about. That's my hook, man. Like, you don't see me trying to get on Ballers, which by the way, if they got any extra deals, yeah, I'm saying if they got any extra situations, holler at your boy. You know what I mean? Not for
you should be. Well, you know me myself, man. I'm a sports fanatic, straight up sports junkie, and so is my brother. And we decided to put our 2 cents in to the sports talk arena to just tell it like it is and how we think it should be. And that's how we came up with the Ozone podcast, because it's unfair and partial sports. So we're primarily talking about sports. It seems like you're talking about a range of topics.
Yeah,
we keep our focus on sports, and we getting in there and, you know, we're making things pop and telling you about the latest trades and talking NBA finals and football season coming up. We're talking about all kind of stuff. So, you know, that's what we're on. It's something that's dear to my heart. Now I'm in a good spot in my life where I can do things that I want to do, and that's a freedom that I really pray everybody has, you know, because it's good to just be able to do the things that you want to do as opposed to doing things you have to do. And talking about sports all day is something that I'm going to do regardless.
Absolutely.
So I might as well get a following about it and see if people agree or disagree with me.
Let me ask you about this, man. There's been a push here lately in the last couple of weeks because of the social climate for people to speak out. I mentioned Michael Bennett earlier, talking about his NFL brethren, and months ago, there was an issue with the Oscars, in your realm of the world, or your part of the world, with the Oscars being all white in all the major categories. Do you at times feel that pressure being on a show that casts a hell of a lot of black people? Do you sometimes feel that pressure to speak out on these things?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, but I feel that pressure regardless. I don't even see it as pressure as much as I see it as a privilege and a responsibility.
Gotcha.
I believe that just like the scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. So when you're in a position of any sort of power, you need to use that power for the greater good. And whether that's speaking about inequality or whether that's just speaking about something that's wrong, and I think I applaud Carmelo, Chris Paul, LeBron. I applaud all those brothers who started off the athletes the way that they did, and they brought light to an issue that's important to us as a community who had supported them to make their hundreds of millions and billions of dollars collectively. And the same goes for any other field. It's with art, it's a lot more tricky because it's subjective.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see what the pressure has done from people speaking out. For one, because there's a black woman who is the president of the Academy.
Yeah.
And you see this year how inclusive they were about the invites to make sure that the voting body is more diverse. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes. It's an exciting time right now in the country because there's a lot of change, and I think, unfortunately, change hurts at times, and we just have to deal with that.
This is true. I'm talking right now with Omar Miller, the star of the hit show Ballers on HBO. You make sure you get your HBO subscription. First of all, stop stealing it. Get your HBO subscription. It's on Sunday at 10 p.m.
First off, stop stealing.
I'm here to do the public service too, man. Stop stealing your cable, man, and from your neighbor or whatever, and just pay for the thing so you can check out my man Omar Sunday at 10. He's also the host of the Ozone podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Omar Miller and on Instagram at Omar Benson Miller. Where can they hear the podcast? I heard it on iTunes. Is it somewhere else that they can get it at?
Yeah, if you are an Apple user, you can catch it on iTunes, and if you're not, you can catch it on the Stitcher app. But if you just go to my Facebook page, you'll see that I always have a link up for it, and you'll always be able to check out, find the Ozone podcast and whatever else I'm up to.
What's the Facebook?
I'm a wily cat.
Omar Benson Miller is the Facebook as well, right?
I don't know. You'll see.
I think it's Omar Benson Miller from what I read. Speaking of the podcast, your brother's a fool, man. Is that your older brother?
Yeah, it's my older brother, man. He's a real rabble-rouser, that one. He's a very opinionated man.
Right. When's the last time y'all fought, man? Like, when's the last time y'all really just got into it?
Man, right now, last time we fought was a while ago. Now we keep our fights to vocal over sports. But they're pretty frequent.
Who won?
He's also my collaborator. We had a television show called The Weekend Fix. That was a travel program that was on the Esquire network, and he produced that. So he's my producing partner and my brother. We keep it tight and just trying to create content for the masses.
Word up. So y'all grew up in L.A. Like, what's the worst thing that you and him did together that got you in some trouble, like with the parents?
Man, ain't no time for spreading that nonsense.
What you mean? That's what we do around here.
Well, that's on you. It's yours. Any dirt I do it quiet.
So okay, wait, hold on. I ain't talking about where
I'm a secret keeper.
I'm not asking you where the bodies are buried. I'm just talking about, like, did you hit a baseball through the window? Like, I ain't asking you about that. Like, I understand that code.
That was constant. I mean, there's 7 of us, so there's 6 boys and 1 girl, so you can imagine how wild the house was.
Did your sister ever have a date? First of all, if it's 6 of y'all and 1 of her, and you already 6'5", whatever your weight is now, did your sister ever have a date? First of all,
she had a date. She's happily married now, so she's doing all right.
Yeah,
we let her out. We just have to keep an eye on it because we know how men are because we're men.
You know that dude ain't gonna never get out of line.
So he can't get out of line. He already knows what time it is.
Now, when you're not acting, when you're not podcasting, what's life like for Omar Miller, man? What do you do in your downtime?
It's usually on the road. I enjoy traveling. I like seeing the world and absorbing other cultures. It really has made me a better person seeing the world, and I've been blessed enough to get to see the world on the studio's dime. So now that I got a couple nickels to rub together myself, I like to go out and see the world and explore.
Now, when they do those party scenes on the show, I'm curious about something. Like, how much directing actually goes on? Or they just like go on Instagram, just slide in a bunch of DMs and like, hey, y'all want to be in this party scene? Come to this pool that we got at this mansion and just let it rip. Like, how does that work, my man?
Nah, it's way more organized than that. You don't know who you might get sliding into DMs. So you know, there's a staff of producers and casting people who contact agencies and model agencies and get the people there. And some of the dialogue is scripted, some of it is improv. But you know, there's a lot of security risks and whatnot with the people that we have on set. So we have to keep everybody where and how we want them.
No
and
doubt.
So, you know, it's orchestrated chaos, put it like that.
Yeah, it looks fun. looks way too much
that's
fun
what it is.
for my age group. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is real stuff, man. I just kind of live vicariously through shows like that at this point. Like I kind of reminisce on my days like that, but now it's just me in the recliner with the old lady. Like, man, I remember those days.
Well, I'm glad we're here for you, brother.
Yeah, of course, man. They're here for everybody. Sunday at 10, Ballers. Omar Miller on the line right now. Follow him on Twitter at Omar Miller. What else you got in the works right now, man? I know when things get good, man, people start coming at you for things. You know, I know you produce and direct and all those things. What do you got coming down the pipeline for the people?
Well, I got another movie coming out called, well, actually, I think right now it's called Blood Mountain. The movies are tricky because they always change the title, but look for a movie called Blood Mountain. Myself, Amelia Clark from Game of Thrones, and Jack Houston from Boardwalk Empire, and it's a film about the slippery slope of adultery, about an FBI agent. It's a true story about the only FBI agent in history to actually be convicted of murder. Huh. So it's a tricky movie that we shot with director Philip Noyce out in Kentucky. I'm writing some stuff, making some sales, and, you know, I'm just hustling in general. You know, I'm out here hustling.
I love to hear that,
but
man.
Right now I'm pretty much focused on our podcast and getting prepared for season 3 of Ballers, which we'll shoot this winter.
What can we get some spoilers on the One Mike with Big Mike show? Like what's going to be happening? Like how is season 2 going to wrap up? Like what's going to happen? Like the most ridiculous thing that I saw last week was you talking about I'm practicing left tackle on the PlayStation. I'm playing with the tackle on PlayStation. Something no one has done in ever. No human being in life has ever. Like,
well,
yeah,
that's that commitment. That's that commitment of Charles Green right there.
What
the making machine.
What do you
I tell you, season is. I can't give you many spoilers because I don't want to lose my job. But you can be sure that you don't know where it's going. This season is it's a roller coaster ride, and especially for me. My character, finds himself in some vulnerable positions again, kind of like he did last year, and he once again has to make some choices about his character and whether or not his integrity is going to lead him to the promised land.
Yeah, and I wonder about that, man, because your character in particular, because some of the other characters you can kind of, as far as if you're looking at it from a football fan's perspective, like the kid with the Cowboys, he's kind of the guy who's responsible for a lot of people, and he may not love football so much. Then you got the Ricky Jarrett character who's maybe coming to the backside of his career, but still believes he's Ricky Jarrett and, you know, he can command certain things. But then you got you. And I'm when I watch, I'm curious to see what the progression of your character is going to be, because you're actually at the end. You just experienced what a lot of older players experience, the young guy coming in, and now you having to be the one to compromise the move from the left tackle to the right tackle, which means the next move is probably unemployment. So when I look at it, yeah, when you talk about, you know, being tested again, I see that coming because your character seems to be the one. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kind of like the most, how do I want to put emotional mobility? Like you're kind of going in a bunch of different places at a bunch of different times, and knowing like The Rock and what is that guy's name? That funny ass dude that's his partner on the show. What is his name, Omar?
Rob Corddry.
He is hilarious in everything, dude.
Yeah, Rob's a funny guy, man. He's got a long history, great body of work, really funny dude. You know, for me, this is the upside, is that I've been forced and having the privilege to deal with a lot of insecurities and vulnerabilities. And in the world of such macho men who are so celebrated, it's great that that's put on my shoulders as an actor. So, you know, there's adjustments that have to be made. And I think the story of Charles Green is maybe one that's less glamorous from some of the other characters on the show. But quite possibly, I believe I have the best character on the show because of all the different stuff that my guy gets to explore.
Yeah.
And you'll see as the season progresses. There's a lot.
Yeah, man, he's the most complex. The last thing I got for you, and by the way, I'm talking with the star of the hit show Ballers. His name is Omar Miller. It's on HBO Sunday at 10. Just got renewed for that third season. He's also the host of the Ozone podcast, so you make sure you guys check that out on iTunes, or go to his Facebook page, Omar Benson Miller, on Facebook to get information on where you can check out the podcast. I was talking before you came on about this stuff with LeBron today. You know what I mean? LeBron saying that he's chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan, kind of finally coming out and, I don't want to say admitting it, but acknowledging that that is something that's important to him, to be considered possibly the greatest player to ever play basketball. I want to, before I let you go, because I know you're a sports aficionado, I want to get your opinion on him saying those things, like verbally acknowledging those things today after finally winning his third championship and finally bringing one to Cleveland.
I think it's great. I think that the way that LeBron has played this career with all these high expectations is really admirable. Because how many times has somebody been anointed as the next coming and then they fizzle and fall out?
Say that.
This guy's delivered. He's delivered to a city that was in desperate need of a win in general. I think that he'll always be chasing that ghost, no matter how many championships he wins. Because for those of us who watch Michael Jordan play, it's hard to imagine that anybody would find a way to beat him. And this is where the generational argument is always tough, because it would be very difficult to see a Michael Jordan-led team lose to a LeBron James-led team.
Right.
But I believe that having his aspirations, as they always were, to be the greatest basketball player of all time, he shows that his mind is in the right place. The guy wants to win. And I don't know why. I mean, if you look at that man's stat sheet for the past couple of years in the playoffs, especially in the finals for the last 2 years, I don't know how anybody has anything bad to say. That dude, forget about it. His numbers, he's putting up video game numbers, man. I remember last year when everybody got hurt, he was putting up like 45, 17, and 12 every night.
Right.
This is insane. I've never seen numbers like that in any sport. So, I don't know. I think he's the man. I think he put to sleep all that who's the best player in the game nonsense, because there was a lot of people front-running to Steph Curry during the regular season. And, you know, it's going to be an interesting NBA season once again. So I hope he's getting some rest, because that dude logged a lot of minutes.
No, that dude ain't getting no rest. He's getting up at 6 o'clock. The story came out today. He's up at 6 o'clock still working and still grinding, man. And see, that's why, like, the way
getting up at 6 and working and grinding still works, but that's different than playing games nonstop. That's different from the wear and tear, the travel, playing Olympics, playing Nationals, playing the extra season that is the NBA postseason.
Right.
It takes so damn long.
Yeah.
The NBA really needs to stop playing with that. And, yeah, man.
Yeah, you go tell those billionaires to stop getting money. I'll let you do that.
And it ain't going to happen.
Right. See, that's why me and you, we can be friends, because you're a person I talk about all the time on the show, perspective, man, and understanding. Like, you can have this false hate for people that you don't know, but at the end of the day, if you're a sports fan, if you're a basketball fan, you got to appreciate the greatness that you're witnessing, because it don't come along but every so often. Like, you can start talking to me about Ben Simmons and all these people. You can talk to me about a lot of people that were and are very good. But when you see greatness, the very, very pinnacle of the mountain, you got to just appreciate it for what it is, man, and just keep it moving.
What can you do? Why would you? Yeah. Why would you? I don't. You know. Why hate?
Yeah.
This guy deserves every accolade that he's received, because he showed up in the big moments. And for me, that's all I want to see. I want to see clutch.
Yeah.
And that guy has been showing up.
I blame.
Mike, man, thanks for having me, brother.
You got it, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.